we've heard of Job in the Bible, how he lost everything. There's a very interesting argument to how he lost everything. Devil like took everything from him: his children, his livestock, his business, everything, his farmland, everything was just gone. But the devil left his wife. That part is interesting to me. He took everything and said, you know what? Oh, he has wife. Let me know. No, I'm not going to kill his wife. Come on, that's part of his punishment. That's part of his punishment, man. I think his wife is going to be so happy. Maybe I'll leave his wife. I'm joking. All right. Jesus Christ, you're so serious. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, it just means that you woke up this morning knowing somehow, somewhere, in some frame, that you are indeed the best of the best, nothing but the best, and the absolutely phenomenal. You are blessed. This is Salim Mohammed Tarfa, the physical gay, back on the Physi Speaks. We're on another episode. What is good? In the words of my friend ID, crazy person is absolutely psycho. I don't know why I have friends like that. But yeah, he's an amazing guy still. On this episode, I'll be discussing something that hit me this morning. I wanted to share with you some thoughts of mine on the topic, does God exist? Does God exist? Right? Yeah, but let's get it. I need to share a story to get to where I'm going with this. There was a post recently about a man who someone reported was outside of the labor ward praying for his wife who was in there. I think they've been married for roughly about 12 years, if I'm not mistaken. And this man was outside of labor ward, and he was in labor room, and he was praying to his Lord, as the person put it, praying to his Lord, because we don't know what version of God he was praying to. What we do know is that, like the person said, he was praying to his Lord, right? And he's saying to his God, or to God, I've waited for this for 12 years, right? Do this for me. Bring my child and my wife safely. Prayer is just bring them out safely. You've been with me for all this time and all that. I've wanted this for so long. Please bring them out safely. And the person is now noting the irony of it, which is the fact that the doctor, or the doctor has just announced on the other side that his wife and child, they didn't make it out of the labor. Now this is a very touching story. And then people under in the comment section all going, oh, someone even went, someone is like, oh, God doesn't exist, they're just chance and opportunities and things like that, and you don't really have much control over anything. It's just fate. And the argument of faith versus fate, all those things come up, and then it's really something to think about. That's not the only story. There's another story I want to give. This story was actually from a friend of mine's podcast, Mima's podcast, and on this podcast she shares a story. She actually shared with me briefly. She shares it on the podcast even better. Talking about how a particular guy and a particular girl came together. I mean, they came together, they got married. And before they got married, this person, the girl prayed and she was believing God for her husband. And the guy also prayed, like, God, obviously bring his wife and all that. And then they found each other. It's like they got this revelation that they were meant to be together. And then they come together and they're married, right? Everybody's happy. Everybody's like, oh, this is like this awesome heavenly marriage that just happened. Like, God blessed this marriage, right? And it's crazy that she says that she sees them, I think, a year or two ago, after the wedding happened, to find out that they are no longer together. Not only are they no longer together, I think they're no longer even on talking terms. Like, they just split up, straight up. Like, boom, we're not going to work together anymore. And it casts a very, very interesting shadow, because you would think that, this is what we're looking for, right? We want people who are godly, people who will sit down and who will pray to God about everything, people who will look to God for answers, people who will be God fearing, who will be God aware, no one to do anything that is outside of the will of God. And that should be, you would think to yourself, well, that should be enough. I should be guided enough. I should be okay. There should be nothing wrong, right? And it's very interesting when I think about these things. And the question comes down to, does God exist? This was what was in the Twitter feed. Read a bit of the messages there. Some interesting arguments. Some were just downright hateful and just unnecessary. Like, if you don't have any intelligent thing to say, you don't have to say rubbish, right? You don't have to open your mouth and just go, wow. Don't do that. So one of the biggest questions is, does God exist? When I say God exists, personally, everybody has their version of what they understand to be. And now there are different discussions for this, right? From a scientific perspective, we'll say, well, science just deals with what it can prove on evidence. And so most scientists will say, well, there is no scientific proof for the existence of God. They'll say, well, we've not measured him, we've not seen him. Science still can explore the origins of the universe through different theories. One of them is the Big Bang theory. They try to use all of these different theories to postulate, okay, this is how everything has come to play. And then from a theological perspective, for example, Christianity has its own set of arguments, right? There's a cosmological argument that suggests that everything that exists must have a cause, and that cause is God. I absolutely love this one because it makes sense, right? It just makes sense. I don't know what you want to tell me. It makes sense, right? Because why? You don't just drive to. I mean, if you drive to it's highly improbable that you go to, let's say you travel to anywhere. Let's just mention a place. You drive to Tokyo. And you see all the high-rise buildings and the wonderful geotechnical engineering done to work against earthquakes, and the awesome underground drainage system to reduce, so many wonderful things going on there, right? And the crazy thing would be to think, you know what? There was a big bang, and then all these windows and all the screws and everything just fit. Nothing happened here. There was no master architect. No, there was no sentient knowledge. There was no high. We woke up, boom, everything just went into place. And that's why I have a problem with the Big Bang thing. It looks very interesting, except that when we say that, it can't, matter can't, be created or destroyed, then it has to change form. Then the Big Bang must have come from something that was the bang. Well, very interesting conversations, right? And let me just go on before I show my bias too heavily. And then there's the teleological argument, also known as the design argument, right? Which points to the order and complexity of the universe, suggesting that there's an intelligent designer. Just like I've said, people have their personal experiences of faith and answered prayers. That is obviously very tangible for a lot of people. Now, if you want to talk about complexity in the universe, science will tell you, well, we have natural selection, right? Which makes sense, and evolution. So, for example, if you're a stupid person, natural selection is that there's a system, there's a natural system that will sieve you out from the living, right? So, for example, if you're a stupid person, let me explain what I mean by a stupid person. You see that something is, there's a, how do I put this down? This thing is going to kill you, right? You are doing hard drugs. This thing is not good for you, but you are doing it anyways. If you do not have any offspring who by any means take up any of your traits, and you die taking hard drugs, sniffing monkey piss or something crazy, it just means that when you die, you have helped the whole world to reduce the number of oxygen consuming, CO2 producing, crazy people, right? You just reduced it, right? Everybody has their crazy, but your crazy is too much. So natural selection is saying you have to go. If someone is, for example, so unproductively unattractive, they will likely not get mates, right? They don't get people to want to make babies with them. They don't get people to want to make families with them, unless they turn out to be crazy people, like they go into some kind of gender-based violence or something. Nobody is looking, or maybe they donate sperm to a sperm bank, which is why sperm bank it's a very dangerous thing, because you don't know whose sperm you're getting. You have no idea. It could be the most ugly mucheche looking human being that'll just give you sperm, and now you have a baby. You don't understand why the baby looks so aggressive all the time. You think it's because maybe you drank too much wine when you were pregnant. It's not about the wine. It's not about your sleeping position. You just have a very traumatized looking baby because it came from a very traumatized looking adult male. All right? Just like if you, as a man, if you were donating and you don't know, I mean, you wouldn't want to, I don't know, you just wouldn't want to make a baby with someone that looks like Mucheche. I don't know what that is, but just don't want to do that, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want to, you don't want to, like a lot of people will say, you don't want to marry a particular lady because she looks really, she looks like she fought with Aku and lost many times. She wasn't Samurai Jack. She was like something else. She lost a lot of those battles to whatever element that was existing. So the point here is that at the end of the day, right, there is natural selection, and this natural selection is that there are these processes that will filter out those that are meant to survive. So for example, as time passes, let's say there's climate change, there's this change, there's that change. At a particular point in time, if you cannot cope with the weather conditions, if you're staying in a very, let's say, a very hot or very cold climate, and you cannot withstand the cold, soon enough, those that have asthma, those that have health issues, those that cannot survive there will die out. Right? They will die out so that the otherwise strong, durable variants of humanity or humans or animals or whatever will survive, and then they will evolve to survive. So some people who have grown up in areas that have very high humidity, just like when you see the Ethiopians and the Kenyans running long distance races and you're wondering what's up, why are they so, they're always looking different from everyone else, and they behave different, they run different. The Somalis, when they come out and do their thing, the marathon races, everybody's also wondering like, why are they so good at doing these things? But if you look at their landscape, where they are coming from, their lifestyle, where they are coming from, you realize that these guys are built to do this thing. I'm sorry, other people can try. It's not about being skinny. Trust me, these niggers are good, right? They're good. I can say that because I'm black, I'm just saying. Don't say this if you're not black. So yeah, absolutely, it's something that is just part of it, right? If you can't cope, you drop out, and if you can, you evolve. You evolve to, create other people who can deal with it. So that's something. And then for those who believe in God, there is faith. Talking about this core concept, especially of Christianity. I'm going to go to Christianity now because that's where I operate, right? So it's basically believing in something beyond what we can prove, evidence of things not seen. I haven't seen it, but I believe it. I believe it so much. It helps me get up in the morning. It helps me, move around like I'm bulletproof. It helps me play paintball with my HOT and win. It's a long story. It was an awesome weekend. You guys missed out on yeah. And I think this is where it comes down to, really. How can we talk about God without talking about somebody coming and saying, oh, if God is real, then why does he allow, if he's all powerful and all loving, why does he allow suffering to exist? And the simple reply to that is, well, you have free will, right? There is free will, and there is a clear explanation of why things go wrong. And I honestly believe this one, right? Yes, there will be natural phenomena that will deal with us, but at the same time, I think we have so much. There is so much that we can do with what we have. Um, there is a free will argument, obviously, from the theological question of why does evil exist. There is also um, an argument that says suffering happens because it refines our faith. I don't really buy that one. That we're meant to suffer so that we have faith. But like yeah, obviously, if everything was good, would you need to believe anything? If everything was just okay, if everything was working, if you didn't have to worry about the fact that you're going to die, or the fact that you need to worry about how you're gonna survive in this world, how you're gonna deal with complex emotions, how you're gonna circumvent a life of so many complexities. At the end of the day, if you never had to want for anything, why would you want to have faith? Why would you need to have faith? You don't need anything. In that utopian world, why would you need faith? Everybody's like, oh, faith, I love God, I just love God, I just love God. Yeah, that's great. But sometimes the argument for me is like, without sadness, would you be able to comprehend happiness? Without a heartbreak, would you be able to comprehend the joy of new beginnings, of a love requited? Would you, without food, will hunger be so scary? Maybe the difference is without, for example, if you're in Nigeria or Africa, West Africa especially, Riley is talking to a bunch of gangsters, and one of the gangsters is telling Riley about something, and he goes, what, and go what, and basically I'm not going to say it. I'm just gonna put it here so that we can listen to it at this point.
The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.
What?
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
What?
What country you from?
What?
What ain't no country I ever heard of. They speak English in what?
What?
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Yeah.
So you understand the words I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is that there are known knowns and that there are known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. Things we don't know that we don't know.
What?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more time.
What?
We need a level of humility to deal with the fact that there are things that we do not know. There are things that we do not understand. From my understanding, my brief time on earth, my limited understanding of things. Now, it brings me to this point where I want to ask a question to this question. Does God exist in your life only up until the point that you get what you want? Does God exist in your life only as far as the results are reached? Does God exist as this destination, final result, this outcome? Is the existence of God in your life tied to a particular outcome? And then you might say, well, if it isn't tied to an outcome, then what's the point? Right? If the outcome is not, for example, that you're rich, what's the point?
Now, two people got married. Interestingly, they were both believers, or they are both believers. I hope they're still believing. And they have apparently now gone their separate ways. Now, they got together, got married with a certain mentality, a certain belief, a certain confirmation, conviction, assumed position of divine direction for which they felt convinced that they were supposed to be together. And that is not wrong. It's not bad to feel like it's not bad to want confirmation from God, from a higher authority, that this person out of 8 billion people is the one for you. Which goes back to the question of, is there the one? But again, the Bible talks about how, for example, a prudent wife is from God. Your dating coach can link you up with someone, or everyone can do whatever they want, but the prudent wife is a gift from God. It's from God. God gives you that. You don't just go find. You can find whatever you want, but this one He got to give you, right? And that's according to the Bible, which is great. There is still a place for understanding that we pray for things. This is how I reason this thing. We pray for things, and someone actually gave me a better understanding of this, better perspective of it, and I'm going to share that with us on the podcast. Shout out to Brush J. You pray to God. God, I want millions in my account. I want billions in my account. Right? Let's say whatever happens, let's because now we are treating God like a genie, which is not what we're supposed to do. But we basically asked, and He answered, and then we received $1 billion in our account. Now, the thing that shocked me, because it's all about scale, right? A lot of times we are praying to God, asking for things that we think we can scale. Now, we're asking for things we think we can scale because we do not have the full understanding of what it will mean to have those things yet. But we believe that if we have these things, we should be good. God forbid you buy like a Honda Pilot, right? You could make some bad choices in life. Yeah, I'm just saying. It could be worse. You could drive like a Nissan Armada. Also it's just like a big lunchbox. But that's besides the point, right? J-Wagon is so cool, by the way. You wanted this, you asked God for this, now you have 100 million naira in your account. It's there, it's tangible. Now, I was talking to this wonderful man, and he said, if you do not have the capacity, whoa, this hit me, for the thing you are asking for, you will get it, and you will reduce it, you will spend it, you will waste it, until you get to the point where you actually have capacity. And then you ask for this, you get it. But guess what? It's too big for you to manage at that point. What happens is you will spend it, you will waste it, you will rubbish it until it gets to a level that you can manage. A new prayer point I have now is, God, give me the capacity for the things I'm praying for. God, give me the capacity for the things I'm asking for. God, give me the capacity for the things I'm yearning for. You want to be married so bad. You want to be this so bad. You want to be the chief of this. You want to be president of Nigeria so bad. God, give me the capacity to manage what I'm asking for. So when it gets here, it doesn't destroy me. I don't become a monster because of it. In this case of the guy and the girl, right? The guy and the girl, they get married because they believe that everything is supposed to work out and everything and blah, blah, blah. And now the question is, does God exist? Because if God exists, God, why will you allow me to go through what should be that is your will? And the Bible says God's will for us is good, right? It's acceptable, it makes sense. It follows, it's good. And then it's perfect. Like, His will doesn't have mistakes. That was basically telling us. And the Bible also says that His ways are not our ways. So, first of all, it's so perfect that we might not be able to get it yet. If you've ever had someone tell you, don't do this like this, try it like this. You're like, no, leave me, this is how I'm used to doing it. And the person says, no, try it this way. And then you try it and you realize you've spent all your life not knowing that this thing could have been so simple. Same way with God, right? But we'll get back to, does God exist, in this question. We're asking this question because we are pissed, we are angry. God, how could you lead me to such a bad place? How could you let this happen? How could you be real and this is happening to me, right? That's a different depth to it, because we are hurt, we're grieving, we're pain, we're upset, we're pissed. At the same time, you prayed for this wife. You prayed on this wife. She prayed for her husband. She prayed on this husband. She laid hands on you at one point in time and said, God bless this man. Right? She wanted you to succeed. You wanted her to succeed. But suddenly you guys can't even stand each other, you can't live together. Now, this is the funny thing about this whole conversation, is that at the end of the day, God brings us together, or brings us to points. We say God opened doors and everything, and then the doors are open. But you see, the funny thing about free will is we have the power to walk through those doors. At the end of the day, do you want to go through the door or do you want to stay outside? It's up to you. That's the funny thing. God is like, look, bro, you said you wanted me to open 100,000 doors for you. I have. But you need to get up and get through those doors. I'm not going to, walk you. I'm not going to pick you up and fly you through the doors. You got to make the choice, bro. Do you want to go in or do you want to stay out? Choice is yours. At the end of the day, now, I'm not God. I can't tell you everything he's doing or he's going to do, or the plan for the entire universe. But I can tell you that from my own understanding, from my belief, from my faith, as a Christian, the word of God is literally telling you God's mind towards us, and it's of good. His mind and his plans for us are always of good and not of evil, to bring us to an expected end that is great, it's awesome, it's excellent, it's perfect, it's, all of those things. So, you get married, right? And you expect that because this is the marriage that God planned for me, it should go well. We should not have issues, And I came across so many topics in my brain now. Okay, I came across the phenomenon that is twin flame, right? This is supposed to be another person who mirrors you, so much so that you are brought face to face with the greatest good of yourself and the greatest bad that you have. Like, your flaws are right in your face. When you look in the mirror and you see yourself, like, oh, like, this is literally mirroring you. So your interactions with that person will bring out such intense emotion, such intense realization, such intense awakening, that they have a position in your life that's so uncanny. It's different. Because this person is that one person that will see you, and in spite of everyone has said you are not some human being in the world, you're the most butterfly person ever, this person would trigger or would bring out your unresolved traumas, your unresolved pain, your struggling, your codependence will be exposed. If you have a narcissistic tendency, it's going to show up. If you have a self-absorbed tendency, it's going to show up. If you're a stingy mosquito, at the end of the day, it's going to come out. If you support Arsenal behind the scenes, it will come out. And the closest person to us usually is, at least in this day and age, the person we marry, the person you're in a relationship with. You can be friends with somebody for a very long time, but the person that they are dating will see a side of them that you've never seen before. Maybe you've seen it, but you just never paid attention because it wasn't directed at you. But this person now is going to be in your face. This person is going to demand you to show up in certain ways, by virtue of their upbringing. Because, there's that argument of, for example, as a man, you meet a lady, you are not just meeting her present, you are meeting your real competition is her past. How did she grow up? What are her core values like? What is working behind the scenes? And as a woman, don't mistake a man's past as negligible. Because if that man came from a very terrible place, yeah, it's possible that he comes out of it. Yeah, it's possible that he has experienced life that might have changed him. But you have to still be paying attention to where he's coming from and where he's going. For a man, where is he going? That's the question for a man. Where is he going? But for a woman, please ask that question. Where are you coming from? Because a lot of, what we see on social media these days is preaching to us that, accept me, this is how I am, and all of this stuff. The difference between male motivation and female motivation is very clear. For a man's motivation, it's more like, get up, you're broke, you need money, you need to do something with your life. That's it.
Woman's motivation is all, you are so beautiful, you are powerful, you will achieve so many things, you will be, you know, you are flawless, you are so beautiful, you're so, yeah, 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 yeah. You don't see guys that wake up in the morning, you are so handsome, you are so this, you're so that. Look, man, nigga, do you want to make some money? Do you want to feed your family? You can't be thinking about yourself beautiful. Get up, go get some shit done. Now, realities are not the same. And as much as we argue it, oh no, this, that, equality, BS. It's not the same. So, bro, I advise you, get your shit together, get your life on the track, and run that track, because it be coming for you, right? And hold steadfast to God, because, man, at the end of the day, you get married and you expect that, it should go well, God, okay. God has brought us to this point to meet each other, and we expect that it should go well. But the reality of it is that God's plan is beyond what you are thinking. It might be that you and this person are supposed to work on each other together. The marriage thing is not a sprint race. I don't know why people think it is. You get married, you think, oh, we should be perfect right away. No. You get married, you probably spend your next 30, 45 years of your life trying to figure each other out. You probably even died out. You probably died that way. You just try and figure them out. My mom told me something last night about a story about a lady. No, it wasn't my mom. Well, basically the story was like this: that there was a particular lady who was married, and while all her friends are talking about, oh, my husband bought me a car, my husband bought me this, she said, her husband didn't buy her a car. Her husband doesn't buy her all those expensive things. But her husband knows one thing about her, different from what other people get. Her husband knows that she loves pawpaws. It's a fruit. She loves the pawpaw fruit so much. Papaya, whatever. She loves it so much. And so each time he's coming back from work, he stops somewhere, he buys her a pawpaw fruit and comes home. He buys her a particular fruit, maybe the way she likes it. He buys that for her. He comes on. Babe, how you doing? Here's your pawpaw. And she's happy. She's like, he's not the richest man. He's not the whatever. He's not the this and blah. But she understands that he understands her enough, and he's thoughtful enough of her, that no matter what it is that he's doing, he's thinking, I have to get my woman her pawpaw. She loves pawpaw. That's it. For the man, you just understand, you know what? He loves his eba, very strong. He loves his gari, very metallic. He just wants to eat that, akpu that looks like he was used to I don't know. It was used to, I don't know, build a house. It just feels so, akagom. It feels very angry. And I'm saying you know a lot. If you know, you know. If you don't know, leave me alone. So that's it. It's just crazy, right? You'll be surprised that it is the little things that you think are not the special thing that keep a lot of marriages going. It's not the fact that you knelt down under a water fountain to ask her to marry you. That's why she loves you. No, if she loves you because there's a way you call her name. For me, there was something that there was a particular thing. I said to someone, I can't date someone who doesn't know how to call my name. It's my name. It's a very simple name. It's Salim. But if you call me Salim, Slim, Selim. There's one funny thing. There was a girl who was from the north as well who called me Selim, and I was like, I want to punch you, but I don't hit women. So now I think I would like to rent someone to do it for me. I'll just organize a UFC fight between you and maybe, I don't know, one really badass UFC fighter, so she can help me knock the teeth off. Because it's Salim, right? What's your problem? Okay, sorry about this. It's getting too personal. The point is, everyone has that little thing that just does something for them. In spite of the fact that, yes, you're going to have a lot of challenges in your marriage or whatever, the beauty of the journey is that you can say, we were here when we started. Now we are here. The growth is part of the beauty, which is why divorce is very damaging. Because it just says that, look, we spent so much time accomplishing little to nothing, which means we've not been working on this. You're getting married, they're giving you a certificate already to begin with. And the point, I believe, even though I've not been married, is that you should start at this point where, look, I like you. You like me. I like you enough that I want to be bonded with you for life. But now, look at the beauty of it. It's not just, apart from the fact that society has its own thing it's going to gain from this and all that, blah, 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 helps us, keeps us in this institution of marriage and everything, blah, 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 trying to create some order and avoid chaos. The reality of it is that if we do this right, we set up a foundation for another generation that we likely create to have a proper example of what a family should be like, or what a marriage should be like. There are people now who are going to go on to have terrible relationships with people, with themselves, and probably in their romantic relationships, and are now going to realize that the reason for that problem started from your parents. You watch them fight dirty. You watch them abuse each other. You watch them fight, rain insults on each other. You watch them, hit each other, beat each other, fling each other around the house, knocking down all kinds of furniture, whatever. You watch them, lose control when things got heated and they decided to say, you know what, I want to say things that are going to hurt you. There are things I know about you that no one else does. I'm going to bring out those things to hurt you. Things that you will never forget in your life. People think, because I'm not advocating for gender-based violence. Please stop it. We should not allow this. It shouldn't happen anymore. However, people think because physical wounds can be seen, they are more damaging. Therefore, the men are the monsters of the world. I'm not saying women don't beat men. They do. There are a lot of cases that are reported. For example, in Lagos, there were I think over 1,000 cases that were reported of men being beaten up by their wives. So it's not as if women don't. Let's not do that, please. But the reality of it is that we don't understand that the emotional damage that comes from these relationships also sets a tone. The moment a woman starts telling you, what have you ever done for me? Oh, and you've sacrificed so many things. You've cut yourself in places. You've punished yourself for this person. And then they're telling you, what have you ever done for me? You behave like your father. You know how much the guy came out from to get to where he is, to get going. Like you drag him back and say he's like this because you want to make a point. You go on that low blow axis, and you want to hurt this person. I'm knowing a lot. I am trying. I'm doing my best. The point is, you are getting married, and that marriage is to bring yourselves, each of you, to subjection under the will of God. If you believe, this is all it takes. I believe all it takes is this. If you honestly believe that person you've married is your gift from God, just hold on to that. And the other person also honestly believes that you are their gift from God. Just hold on to that. Both of you believe that your union started as a gift from God. Hold on to that. The next thing from there is we have this gift from God. It is the will of God for us. Agreed, no problem. Fine. What then do we do? What then do we do to show that we have capacity for this plan? Do we have the plan? You are the one building Nigeria. What do you do that lets people know you have a plan? You are in charge of Abuja or Lagos or Adamawa or some other interesting states. Yeah, okay, I just said Adamawa and said interesting state. Okay, the point is, we have a lot of amazing things going on in these places, right? What do you do to show? You wanted to be governor so bad. Now you are governor. God, give me governor. Governor, okay, you are the will. It's your will that you should be governor. Be governor. Oh yeah, be governor. Now you are the governor. What do you do to show that you are the governor? The next thing is you have to follow up. I have prayed to get this car. God, I need the money to maintain it. I need the grace to keep it. I need the protection to protect my property. I need the wisdom to know how to drive it. I don't want to buy a Ferrari and drive it like a Korokwe. Drive this thing. Bros, press this throttle. My God. There's nothing more annoying than driving behind somebody who has a faster car and is driving it like you are not serious. Like, do you know that you're not going to save any more fuel by driving slowly? You actually burn more fuel at lower... Okay, this is another talk for another day. The point is, I think, from my perspective, as the physical game, if we pray for godly marriages, it should only make sense that we continue to pray for that marriage. That we continue, because there's something my pastor said. He said, if you're praying for somebody, you cannot fight that person. Wow. It didn't hit me like, because if you go to your sacred place, prayer is not like you carry a very big megaphone and go around and shout, have you given your life to Christ? What will you do if you just come tomorrow or today or yesterday? What will you do? What will you tell him? Let's assume he comes to you with a mic. What will you tell Jesus Christ when it comes to you? I ask you, what's up? You're like, hey. I'm like, how's it going? I'm like, good. I'm like, yay. Just calm down. The question is, when you go to that sacred place of reverence, of pouring out your heart to God, what are you saying? And if you are taking that person's matter to God, you cannot be wishing them evil. You cannot go and say, God, my husband is, obviously I'm straight, just saying. My husband is, example, this is an example, just so you know. Okay, my wife is, she's such a beautiful woman. I love her so much. I'm so grateful for her and everything that she does for us. You know, she made me some really lovely lunch yesterday. It was the best. God, I just want to take care of this woman. God, give me strength. God, help me, lead me so that I can know how to lead her. Give me strength so that I can know how to carry her. She's not that heavy, but, she's thick. So, Lord, help me. Please, Jesus. Help me. We had a little argument yesterday. I know she didn't mean it like that. But, Lord, I'm upset. And she hasn't said sorry yet. But she's wearing yoga pants. I don't know why. But is that a way of her saying sorry? God, I don't like that apology. I want a better one. But I love her so much. But I'm pissed. Just imagine you are talking to God about your partner. Your partner just pissed you off. You are upset. But you know what? The fact that you can talk to God about your partner, you are not likely going to go and poison that partner. You're not going to go and whoop their ass, beat them up, in real life. Probably Mortal Kombat. But you wouldn't want to do that in real life. You want to go and say your mother is a farm implement. You're not going to want to go and say, you know what, you are a drunkard. You're a useless man. You're this or that. If you finish praying for him that, my husband is such a good man. He has done so many things for us. I just wish you understand where I'm coming from when I say that, he shouldn't, put his foot, on the rug, and, with shoes, it stains the rug, and it's annoying to get out the stain, and I like white rug, and this, that, blah, blah, blah. You're talking to God about your husband or your wife, about your relationship, about your marriage. There is no way you're going to say, okay, from there, I want to go and cheat on her. I know, I'm saying these things, and it's not easy. It's not easy to just go and talk to God about everything. Like, God, you know what? I have to admit, because it's something, another thing that my pastor said that I liked is that sometimes the confession, once you can confess it, like, you know what, God, I'm jealous of this man. I'm jealous of him. He drives a really nice car. His wife is really pretty. He has beautiful kids, and he has really slick hair, and he's ripped, and he wears nice clothes, and he speaks really well, and I'm jealous of him, Lord. When you're done with that conversation, you'll be like, you know what, I don't feel so bad. He's all right. I mean, he's all right. I mean, he's cool. Why am I beefing him? You know, because the moment you can confess the negativity that you are struggling with, you understand the position of God. Coming back to my own point in all of this, does God exist? This is how I see it. This is my own, because a lot of theologies and arguments and philosophical jiggy everywhere about everything, and there are debates for these things. Atheists can go to town on this. I could probably even spend my time talking about the whole different angles and the academic discoveries and validations for this religion over that religion, of that this blah blah blah, and understanding another. But this is where I feel like the thing makes the most sense. If I follow this God, bumper to bumper, like Lagos traffic, like Apple traffic, like Maraba axis traffic, like traffic, generally, just traffic. If I follow this God bumper to bumper, like I have an issue immediately, like I'm even trying to cultivate that, because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, whoa, this is deep. If I could talk to God like this on everything, wow. Job, for example, Job said something in Job, I think it was 28:4 or something like that. I'm not the best at, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to be better at all these things. But he said it towards, I think, the last chapter of Job, the book of Job. I think it was verse 4 or something like that. He said, I've heard a lot about, I've heard a lot about you, but now I see you. Like, I just heard about you and I believe already. But they told me a lot of things about you, God. But now I see you. And this was a man who, like the man in the hospital who was going to hear the news of his wife and child not making it. Finding, just like Job, having lost everything that you hold there, everything that you are waiting for, you've lost. And the question is, does God exist? Is God even real? Am I even talking to God? And we're thinking in our mind that, this has to be the worst thing that can happen. If you've lost someone, you ask questions like, God, I love you, God, I trust you, God, but why? Why did they have to go? I mean, there are other people. We have so many people currently. We have so many bad governors and bad politicians. Why can't they just go? Why does it have to be the ones that we hold there that have to go? Why can't it be them? Look at this guy. He rigged the election. Just take him. Look at this INEC people. Just do something. Make them just go. Why didn't you ever just allow them to go first? Why? You just want to keep it. Why? We have questions for God. And we don't understand it. How things can go so south in the physical, and yet we are supposed to trust Him completely. Because that's what His word says. Trust completely. Have faith completely. There's no clause. It's not like when it's raining, have faith. All times. Every time. All the time. Just trust. You know what? I trust and obey, regardless. You say jump, I jump. You say sit, I sit. You say run, I run. You say walk, I walk. You say punch that guy in the face, I'll say which hand? Left or right? Do you want him to die? Do you want him to be hospitalized? Which one do you want? Tell me, Jesus. I'm sorry. But do you get what I mean? So, in a sense, it's really tragic to have lost your wife and child. And I don't pray for that to happen to any one of you listening. But the event does not negate the presence of God. Tsunamis wiping out entire settlements and livelihoods of people living there does not negate the existence of God. Earthquakes happening, tectonic plates shifting, heat waves going on, climate change or whatever, does not negate the existence of a kind, merciful, and loving God. Because in everything that I've seen, the focus for God is not even on what we are doing. It's like, you know what? You guys are in a sandbox. You're in a sandbox is like a software. It's like a, it's like a small software, area where you run things inside of the sandbox. You run it inside that. It's like something like that, like a system. It just allows it to run on that sandbox, on that small area. So all of these things they were complaining about, all our tangibles, all our problems, I want a car, I want a Jeep, I want to fly, I want to do this, I want to date this girl, I want to date that one, I want to marry this one, I want to, everything. I want to be the most 1% person in my career, field. All of that is just in one sandbox. And it's like, look, I'm thinking about bigger deployments. There are like more games to come out, There's more to this reality than you can see. And my understanding, like from what I've shared today, is that does God exist? Absolutely. My own perspective on this is an absolute one. He absolutely exists. And the reality of God existing is to help us understand that there is greater than us. There is bigger than us. There is more than us. You're complaining about how you've not had power in your house for how long? Some people don't even have a house. Okay? Some people have houses, but they've been blown up. Missiles have literally dropped next to their houses and blown off the walls. The walls the ceilings have collapsed on their family overnight. These are obviously man-made things, but could God stop everything? Yes, but that will be interfering in our free will. God still shows up still. He still guides us. He still intercedes for us. He still interferes. He still shows us that he's present. But at the end of the day, God is still God regardless of event or regardless of creation, regardless of what we do to us. Because in between all of that is, God is. How many times have you seen people that have been pronounced dead and because of somebody's faith, the person came back to life? So that's a different conversation. We probably got, I don't know, for all we know, the person who talked about the wife and child being lost out, in childbirth, in that process of delivery, for all we know, they made it. It's not unheard of. People have been declared dead and brought back to life. No pulse, nothing, and they still came back to life. We've had people have surgeries where hearts are removed and transplanted, and they are alive. That in itself is a miracle. We say science, all this blah blah blah, but it's a miracle because how? Did you make the heart? No. But somehow you are able to put it together and it's working. Glory be to God. So when we're praying for things, I think the next step is when you're praying for things, we should add a sense of praying for capacity. Before you pray and say, God, I want to marry this person, I want to marry that person, I want to get married this year, I want to get married next year. Next prayer point is, dear God, I know you see me. You're the amazing God. The amazing God. The God of God, the boss of bosses. The one who leads into victory. And you say, God, I trust you with everything I am. And God, I say, I don't just want to get married. I want to have a beautiful marriage. And I know that beautiful marriage will not come easy. But God, I want the grace. I want your favor. I want your wisdom. Because what it's doing for you is that it is allowing you to understand that you are submitting yourself to something bigger than you for you to receive guidance. You are humble enough to admit that you don't know everything, which is the hardest thing for many people to do. You're getting married and you don't say, no, it has to go my way. It has to go your way. It has to go this way or that way. It has to be this. I know it. This is how men behave. This is how women behave. This is how this or that. Men are this. Men will cheat. Women are this. Women will cheat. This or that. Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, your partner might not cheat on you. Your partner might not hit you. Your partner might not emotionally abuse you. Your partner might not do any of those things. And your marriage might not still work. So, it's not about the action film that we are doing, chasing the physical. But God, give me the capacity. Sometimes that capacity will take you to places that you don't want to go to. It's just like you praying, God, if this person is not for me, take them from my life. When they are living your life, it's not going to be easy. You're still going to feel hurt because you wanted them to stay. But you were like, God, I still want you to give me confirmation that this person is the person that's supposed to stay. This person is the person I'm supposed to work with. Because they could be in your life, but they're not supposed to work with you. They can be in your life in the moment and it looks it looks safe. I've had a relationship that felt safe. She was even telling me, look, you have everything, don't worry yourself, just, be cool, and I'll take care of everything. I'll do, bruh. If you put your faith in that, you will be surprised. Because at the end of the day, what matters above all is that God is with you. And that you are submitted to listening to God and saying, God, guide me. God, order my steps. God, show me the way. God, be my guide, be my help, be my sustainer, be my everything. Let me not lean on my own understanding because I don't know. Because from where I'm coming from, I'm coming with mentality, with thinking, with, agenda, with defense mechanisms, coping mechanisms that I've developed over so many years. You're getting married in your 30s. You've had 30 years of your life to develop so many coping mechanisms to things that you don't even understand. You want to meet somebody and you want to start a new life with them, and you just met yourself at an eatery and you loved yourselves, you started talking to yourselves and all these things. You enjoy spending time with her, you just spend time with you. But you guys only see for a few hours a day, which is why I would say cohabiting is great still. I don't know, people don't like it, but I think it's good. You spend some time together. Might not be the whole time, but you can spend like a few days, spend some time together. Stay in the same space. Just see how it is to live in their space. Do you really want to stay with this person for forever? Do you really, really want to do that? If you can, it's cool. Or just spend a significant amount of time, see how it is living with this person. And even then, that might not be enough. So, at the end of the day, trust God. We love God above everything else. I am Salim Mohammed Tarfa, the Fizikage, and I am just telling you that I believe God exists. And my faith in God has helped me come out of so many things. It has helped me get up in the morning. It has helped me face. There are places I've been to, I had no business coming out alive, coming out okay. And I did. I'm not the most Van Damme, Rambo guy in the world. I'm not the toughest. I know people that are tougher than me, in terms of, maybe resilience, people I look up to in some kind of discipline and stuff like that. But I'm saying that I have done things with conviction, with some kind of crazy, I don't know where I feel so confident I'm going to make it back, but I do. And I'm like, God, I don't know what it is, but you keep saving me, you keep coming back, you keep keeping me. And I'm like, man, you can say it's not just your time, it's the statistics of the physics of the chemistry. You are very crazy. But for me, this is what it means, right? That there is God. And every time you bring yourself to talk to God, you take the pressure off your ego. You take the pressure off your self-absorbed narcissism and all those things. You take the pressure off your own quote-unquote worldview. You're from the West. Oh, everything has to be like this. You're from the East. Everything has to be like this. Nah. Just let it go. And sometimes the difference between your relationship or marriage working out and not working out is you remembering that we subjected to you to get here. We're not going to stop subjecting to you because we're here now. So we have to keep on going on that path, and by the grace of God, everything will be awesome. And we will not have to ask the question, does God exist? My name is Ali Mohammed Tarfa, the Fizikage. Till next time, catch you in the next one. Peace!